Perfect. It says we're on air. So let's play meditation. No. Didn't work. His magic powers. He wakes up before. Yeah. That was such a perfect opportunity.
Really smart.
We're meditating on that.
It's better than that.
I was sitting and thinking how nice to sit and do nothing and just relax and be. Because today, for the first time after all these years working, I decided on purpose to stay in bed, lie down as much as possible as well as felt comfortable. Because otherwise, I feel like I have to get up and do something. It's my only day off. It's a beautiful day. I'm gonna waste such a beautiful day and do nothing. So I'd rather go out and do something, even though get groceries just to get out of the house.
Yeah.
But today's I thought I'll just sleep in as much as possible, and I woke up several times and where you would feel that this is it, and get up and go do something, and maybe 5 times I woke up like that with that feeling, but no, let's just be and kind of put myself back into this non-doing mode. In the end, I wake up and I feel like, oh, that's so nice. Just not do it, be able not to do and not to care about having to do anything. So
That's my life.
it will be better than that.
Yeah, I'm retired.
Oh, nice.
You can just do it. It's there to do. Go ahead and don't do.
See, in life you have to become retired to be
Or
or
car accident. Because I did the same thing the day after my car accident. I go, I don't have to go to work. Even though I woke up at like 8 o'clock or something, and I'm still in bed at 11 until this is starting to hurt. I can't go lay down so long.
yeah, you have to keep shifting also. Because actually those who lie down like in coma, they have to be put on the other side every so often because otherwise the muscles start rotting. Like pretty much you're lying down all the time on it. So, but then how to know those who sit for apparently sit for years in meditation without moving, is their ass rotting or not?
Say what?
If their ass is rotting or not? Because if you have to turn around the person who's in coma every so often for its muscles not to start dying, so I wonder those who meditate for years and years apparently without moving.
Yeah.
I wonder will their ass start dying also?
7 years meditation.
Maybe they can't move. Maybe they've been petrified.
I get that way after an hour.
I know my knees get like that for a couple of hours.
Some people feel that it's necessary to put yourself in meditation because it's discipline and concentration. Right? There's some achievement if you go through the pains and hardships in meditation. Stretch the hardest pose, stay the longest in the pain without movement, as if it's gonna help. I don't like to meditate. I never did it. I myself, I remember I did it because I feel that this is what's meditation about. Be with this pain, to be with whatever it is. Even if it hurts, even if I'm being itched here, I shouldn't do anything about it.
He told me that too. It's just like the last time I reason I was sitting through, and then now I don't do that.
Yeah. It's, I remember I got kicked out of the meditation center. The past night on the retreat because I violated the rules.
Because you moved?
Sorry?
Because you moved?
No, because I was there and we made the eye contact, well, more than an eye contact actually. We said hi to each other. We were prohibited to even make an eye contact. But we were just maybe a week before getting married. So we're doing a retreat for 10 days where we don't see each other. It didn't work out that time, so then we just met like 3 months ago. So the intensity of the moment was just not it, and yeah, they saw that we're being too disruptive for their silence, with their retreatancy. Yeah,
Do we have a bit of a moment?
yeah. Which one do you need?
I just need it to see how it flies right here. Oh, probably not that one.
No, maybe no. Go down. Maybe this one. Fair.
This one here?
Yeah.
Yeah. Get out.
Great.
I don't mind sunlight shining on me. It makes good effect on the screen.
Oh, it's rolling.
Yeah. Actually, later it gets dark. I have to enlighten the room. So yeah, I remember in the meditation center, I asked for the chair because my knee hurts from like injury before, and I cannot sit in meditation position forever. Sometimes I sit here only for so long, and I always tell people it's not like I'm trying to adopt meditation position. Some sort of spiritual look, with, just comfortable sometimes to sit. And if I could, I probably would sit longer. But my knees not allowed, so I just stretch it and stay always comfortable. And so many people frustrate themselves because pain is okay. This is the sign that I'm improving. The more, well, I don't know actually. I wonder about all of the ideas that exist on the planet. I wonder where did they get those ideas to identify with.
I remember the book about Buddha, and on his search, almost like a kid's book. But on that they say, oh, okay, so here's the prince. And then he went up to try and find like what's going on, and he came across some monks. And I guess what they would do is they would contort themselves in painful positions, like, and be in the mud or something. And the idea was that through this suffering or something.
Oh yeah, I mean this is the whole practice in some, especially Indian culture. There's a lot of practice. There's the whole practice to go through a painful position like that you can stand on one leg for 10 hours, not moving, right? So something like that, or even like they go through these rituals where they stab their back and hang themselves on the hooks, or, because somehow they feel bad like that. And of course, you get in some sort of trance type of state because you're so much in pain that you have to be present. So there's some sort of trance state, but it's not like you gain much out of it eventually.
don't understand.
They don't really understand anything. They just maybe can endure more pain, concentration enhances because of that in some way. But what's the ongoing benefit out of it? It's you still as identified as you are now, just with uh, new pain enduring technique. You can boast that some people, oh, I can withstand so much pain right now. So
Is it the common thing that you think everybody's looking for? Is kind of the same thing I said. I think it's everybody has the motivation of seeking and suffering, or to get some kind of bliss.
both. If they don't have suffering yet, they want bliss. But if they already have suffering, they want
You want something other than what they have.
yeah, so they want to get out. And anything like for example, if somebody is stabbing your foot, anything even a little better would be much better already. Like if somebody is stabbing 5 times your foot in an hour, even to get stabbed one time in an hour to be better. less suffering. So anything better. It doesn't mean that the whole suffering needs to be taken away, but just a little bit less. And that's what spirituality is about creating a little bit less, and that's it. Because they keep, if you have dark clouds, it's like the whole sky is like dark, dark, dark. If you put it into gray, it's better. It's not as dark. It doesn't have to be clear and sunny as it is now. It's already better. So the same with the spirituality, you keep bettering your state a little, but that's not really clearing up the sky. You're still in the clouds, and usually the dark clouds of whatever. So it's okay for those who want to stay there. They can practice pain enduring, or all kind of other practices, or
I prefer to practice, uh, what was it? Being in, without being in a state where you are able to um, not connect with any negative, difficult situation going on. It can happen, and you can be aware of it happening intellectually, but you don't have to attach to it emotionally. And for you, you don't have to be feeling, having any emotions attached to it, or stories attached to it, or just be,
tell me about it. Sounds like a good way to be.
yes.
It's that kind of being. Seems like there's not much hassle. And there's not much even like it's not like you want to have to do anything to be that way.
Well, it's definitely training of your brain. You have to train yourself. It's very easy to pinch yourself or to have somebody come and say something you don't like, to get right into it and say, have all these terrible thoughts about it, and make these terrible stories about it. It's very easy to do that, so you have to train yourself not to say, I'm not feeling myself there. Mhm.
And
It takes a lot of work.
what happens if you get pulled in? Is it still bad? There's
Sure, you fall into the same habit of, but, but that's all better for you, you know. You can get anxious, you can go wherever you want to on this terrible journey. Why do they look at me that way? They must think or they must be doing whatever, you know. And they probably just have something to do right. But you know how you can make stories about nothing into terrible situations in your life? So you train yourself not to do that.
yeah, I guess that's where it comes in to ask if I is a thought for you, because if all these stories come in for you to believe something, you must believe in it, some sort of sense of I who believes these stories. Otherwise, who will act them out? But then if you ask who are you, maybe that's the shift where the real work begins to recognize that there's a pattern to identify, to believe in the stories, to act them out. But as soon as the shift of consciousness into what is being looked at and the way being looked at is there, it's almost natural to reduce in that behavior, because that behavior is only there as long as there is some consciousness. As soon as consciousness is there, naturally it keeps reducing, and the more you observe it, the less it seems to be.
Well, and I think that you can be addicted to the drama and the excitement of things going wrong in your life. For instance, if somebody uses the finger when you're driving the car, you can make all sorts of stories about it and then tell all sorts of people about it and then have a big, big thing going on about what people are like when you drive, and you can create more and more and more. Just because somebody gave you a finger while you're driving. So
And then actually, can you make a campaign, peace while driving?
exactly. Yes. Yes.
Depends how deep you're gonna take it.
Yes. Whereas you can just not do that. But sometimes people get addicted to that because I guess it gives them something to talk about.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah, because I don't know what people talk about maybe these kind of things. I don't remember what people talk about. I don't talk to people much other than small talk if necessary, and I'm here to talk to whoever comes. So I don't know really what are people talking about. If I overhear a conversation, it always sounds stupid. I never can make any sense of what they're talking, and sometimes I wonder should I go somewhere where I can listen to people talk, or involve myself in a situation where I can observe how life is and the way people live. Because it doesn't seem that my life necessarily is expressed in the the way the collective identification as it is, and I cannot resonate or even remember how that kind of life looks like. So I would have to make an effort to understand how people live normally now. Because when you live without these kind of stories and you notice the difference, that there's huge difference when you live in the stories and you live in the space where you don't have to live those stories. It's a huge difference how life is
Yeah.
being experienced. So
Mind you, I know myself, like I know a lot of different people, and like we go, we have a party or we're gonna get together and have coffee and things like that. And because of what's going on in the news and what people start talking about things, and all of a sudden some people are telling you what's going to happen here, and all sorts of drama starts happening, and you're sitting there and you think, yeah, but you're part of you could feel like, what's he talking about? Why does he think that? You can feel part of you trying to get to it, and you have to remind yourself, yeah, it's his story, it's his story. Maybe it's true. And then I just, no, it's just his story.
well, the mind is always going to be there to try to identify. It never goes away
That's
completely.
right.
It's always there, at least a little, to have some energy to identify if it's possible with anything that will come.
It is interesting, people with their stories, the conviction that they have, this is actually fact.
Oh, yeah.
Of course.
Like, that's like, I understand stories, but then you think that, okay, yeah, this is just my opinion. This is me, it's not even their opinion. This is what happened. Fact. I find that quite amazing.
Yeah.
And when you ask them how did you come to that kind of certainty, they'll get very upset. How can you question my fact?
Yeah. Don't you read the newspapers? Don't you listen to the news?
You're just stupid. And then they'll just determine and judge you in the way they want to see you because you don't agree with their fact. And frankly, the world seems to carry most of its existence in that kind of expression, where people persist on their identification, on their perception of what they believe is fact. And this whole world is as beautiful as ugly it can get from these kind of identifications. And people complain, oh, there should be peace. No, there shouldn't be peace. in that kind of place that we're living now, there's no way to have peace. You have to first give attention back to yourself to understand what is peace in the first place. Peace isn't gained by military actions, or by wars, or by any type of force. Since when peace is enforced, right? So peace has to be something that arises in your being. From there, you can actually maybe change something. But
And it is already in our being, in everybody.
that's the whole thing. It's already there. But many people try to enforce peace on others before they even have it to themselves. Because
They're
they're
even enforced on themselves in some sort of practice.
forced on peace, peaceful belief. Then maybe it will work, a peaceful belief for some time. Because you carry it, you kind of honor it, you believe in it.
Until somebody threatens it.
Yeah, and then you get very upset about it and you realize that my peaceful belief doesn't necessarily work when something threatens it. It's the same as before. There used to be quite a bunch of people that used to come here. Like, full.
Wow.
It's just a full people sit on the floor. I think you've been, yeah, she can also confirm.
Oh, yeah?
So some people even have to sit on the table there. Yeah, and right now I think is it is it because I don't honor so much of spiritual nonsense anymore? Because I used to create even a description a little more spiritual. It sounds something when spiritual people are looking for. So right now I tend to see that my descriptions are very straightforward and I don't try to entertain any spiritual attractions. So maybe those who come are those who already experience that in their being or are on the experience for that. I used to trick people, but even if I trick, them to come, most of them they don't come back because it's not the time yet for them. They come and oh, this is some nonsense. This guy is crazy. These people, I don't know what they're doing here, and they leave for some other spiritual practice. Those who remain, those who still pay some attention to this, they come to an experience, perhaps, and that experience already reveals anything and everything that is there to know. There's what is being shared here is very simple. It's nothing to learn every single time. In the meeting, people who come, it's the same thing over and over in many different ways to express, to point out, to reflect on it, because that's the only thing that we really have in this life, just to reflect on this. There's no more of a joyful thing, at least for me, to reflect on this being in a conscious way. Because most of the people, we have to reduce ourselves into identification type of expression that you have to relate to them in small talk or whatnot. Don't really reflect and say, just being and not listening to all this nonsense what people are talking right now is really great. And if you say that to someone who was very much into nonsense, they don't appreciate it. So a space like here to come and sit down and play with some sounds, play with some bells, and be very peaceful and just being, not having anything to achieve, not having anything to gain, just happen to be. But many people still very much feel that they have to achieve something, and for those it's okay. Don't try to collect achievers here because I don't know if I can please them. Hello? Oh, hello, hello. Okay, so I'll go down. Yeah, I'll continue. So, should I go or should I send my
Disciple?
my carrier?
Just in case somebody shows up and there's must be somebody sitting here.
Yeah, of course.
The coffee cup with a
Look, somebody came up. Perfect. I have to entertain them, and in the meantime, oh look, we have bells. Whoever's watching, nice. We're doing some spiritual things.
Somebody watching it.
Yeah, somebody just came on. Oh, this is very spiritual. Enjoy. The- Okay, whoever is watching, they should know that somebody is coming up to join us. So do not go away. The fun is just starting. Maybe we should switch on the lights, I guess.
Yes, do that.
Well, it will get later, so I'm not sure.
Maybe we'll turn them on now then.
Yeah, maybe. There's behind the corner there tomorrow. Perfect. Yeah. It's funny because in the screen, whoever is watching probably seeing that on the TV. Oh, you probably may. I don't know, do you see that there's lights reflecting on the screen itself here? That creates almost a light tunnel.
Oh, yeah?
So I'm sitting around lights. It's a very enlightening place to be.
Yeah.
Yes. That's right. Somebody was watching us. Probably thinks that we're talking nonsense here. Which we are. It's not nothing really serious here anyway. How to how to achieve the most serious state of being, and what is that serious state of being?
What is serious?
Probably, I think what is serious is the strong identification with the belief that things matter, that nothing matters. They believe that there's something that's really a big of a matter, where really it's still nothing. It's nothing is a big deal unless you make it make it to be any. Is it from the books? Hello? Yes. Oh, you don't see me, or what do you see? Oh, okay. You- oh, oh, yeah, it's a little behind then. So it's you watching then.
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, I'm recording also a separate audio file, so I'll be sharing. Yes. Well, it's nice to know that you're watching. Um, all right. Well, if you feel like to leave a question, you can always also comment there, I think. Yes. All right. Thanks.
You mean someone could be watching this on internet?
I know
Who's
somebody just called me and said like, oh, maybe it's not watching you because it's lagging. So only after in the video I showed that I picked up the phone.
Do I know who called her?
No, but you probably know she's coming to the retreat. Yeah, so that's funny. Uh, and I was just talking, if somebody was watching this, probably think that we're crazy, talking all this nonsense. But they call and like, oh, okay, they don't think that we're crazy. She understands us. See, so so this thing is pretty good. People who are even here in Vancouver but far away, they can join.
Is it on your website? Tell you how to log into this? Is that how you do it?
I put on email, I send information, and also Facebook. In Meetup group, there's information. Click here if you want to watch live. Yeah. So, for example, if you're far away, like I may do a Friday next week, and it's at 7 o'clock, and I think you're not able to come.
No.
So we can just click on the email. There's gonna be a link, or it's on Facebook, and say you want to join live, or starting. Yeah, like, you know, what you need in comments. There's, I think, we can ask a question. So,
Really?
yeah.
Very good.
So I can attend and like, oh look, there's somebody asking a question.
Oh, very good. That's quite interesting.
Well, this is probably going to be the way that I'm going to do in Philippines when I leave.
Ah,
So it seems to work. It seems people can tune in.
wow, that would be great.
Can you make so you can have some kind of online donation?
I can put underneath if people feel like contributing or whatever. They can just, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of that. Probably. Hello. Nice to see you.
Nice to meet you again. I'm sorry I'm late. Are we still waiting for other people?
No, unless somebody comes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, I never been to this kind of events. The only one I was potluck?
Yes.
Problems.
Yeah, we had bubbles.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah. So, we're interested in what you are doing here, and let me know at the beginning, because I already passed through some very dangerous situation. We're just going in the last 2 weeks. So I really appreciate if you tell me what's all this event about.
This, how to say, we're pretty much exploring with our own experience. If we encounter pain, if we encounter some sort of, because you probably have thoughts in your head, right?
Well, that's
Yeah, so this is how we start. We see that, okay, now at this moment I understand there's thoughts in my head. Some thoughts create pain.
Santos Lights.
Some thoughts create pain and suffering, and some thoughts create pleasure and happiness. But in general, all of the thoughts are creating something,
Yes.
one or another experience. So now we're looking what is behind all of those thoughts, watching all of them, and is that one which watches all of the thoughts itself, does it experience the pain or pleasure or suffering?
Are you guys sort of hypnotizing or something?
No way.
No chance.
No, well, unless you get it in yourself. Unless
you can't do it.
if it happens to you naturally, we're
Well, I
not.
don't know. I think it happened to me naturally. I'm not sure if it was a hypnotizing or magic or spirit. Not sure though. She did not tell me, but she did it to me. So that's why I'm
well, that's
worried.
the game situation you're in.
Yeah.
Okay, so you got to meet
Well,
with someone.
If you're interested, I can explain to you. That's why I'm actually here to understand more
Uh-huh.
how to protect myself. I know nobody's going to help me
Okay.
unless that's me. So I work as a cashier. She came to my store, was very busy. We were talking about something, I don't remember what already, I don't know. All I remember is that she's handing me the business card, which is says, that's what I saw the first time, palm reader. And I'm like, I didn't pronounce it, just, oh, how do you know? And she's like, I can feel it. She's saying, I can feel it. I was asking, how do you know? How does she know about the last 1 or 2 months? It's very bad negativity coming from 2 people into my life. And last year I separated from my husband, so that's what I asked her. So she says, I can feel it, and then she says, call me tonight. She already knew I'm going to call her tonight, like that tonight. So yes, after work I called her, and she said, a very bad negativity is coming into her life now which is not coming from God, but from people. And so she made me to believe her. So I went to her house. It was a regular procedure, cards or palm. I said, I don't know which is best. She said, let's do cards. So we did tarot cards, but the most important was that she was at the point she said, like, make a wish, close your eyes, make a wish, and then that's when she did something to me. I didn't feel it, the whole procedure, where was it? Because I thought it's the same situation. But when I left her house, I was scared, I was crying on the road, I was walking, right? So it wasn't safe for me. Two things she didn't do right. She didn't ask me if I wanted, if I agreed, if we signed anything, nothing. And second, that she allowed me to go by my own life without understanding that something happened to me. I was not in this, like, in this state to think right properly. It can be a car, it can be everything. So when I got home, I was still scared that night. I couldn't sleep properly. I had a very weird demon faces coming to my mind. She asked me to call her next morning. She asked me to write that down. Call her in the next morning. I did. So she asked me in the night to put the glass of water on. And when I call her, she will tell me what to do. So I call her, hey, Karina, did you do something to me? She said, yes, I was talking to the spirits. I said, well, I'm scared. So she said, I understand this is the bad demon, like bad negativity. I can fix it. Now she's coming again. So the first day I paid $20. Then she said, go drink that sip of the water. And then say a prayer. I was saying a prayer with her. Then she said, go do your things today, and tonight come to me. I'm gonna give you stuff, $40. She cost $40, and you're gonna get rid of it. I hope so. That's what she said. You're gonna get rid of this situation. Well, I come again to her house. She gives me a candle, and she asked me to light half of the candle in the house, and salt as bad men don't come into my house, and sort of powder to light the powder and going into the house. I did, and I felt a little bit better, but the next day I was so scared that I went to church, then I went to the hospital. I was like there for 1 week. They were starting to give me pills as diagnosis reactive psychosis, which is not right, because I was like that, reacting because of her, whatever she did to me. So I don't know why the doctor decided to put me in this diagnosis. In any case, I feel better. I was to church, or the priest assured me everything is gonna be fine if I lighten my soul, if I pray. Like that's how I ended up to your side. Like I think I can treat it, I can cure all this from inside me, but I don't know where do I start. And the questions like what am I doing on this earth again came up into my mind. Yes, so I think everything happens for a reason, and she even told me that she was speaking with the Holy Spirit, which my pastor said that there is no such like Holy Spirit. It can be different spirits, we don't know which one she used, right? And again, I'm confused. Is there spirits or no? Do I have to believe in that or no? Who do I believe at the end of the day? Yeah.
Very good. I feel that you just released it now, no?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Yeah, so breathe out, just let it relax right now because you did a good job explaining it.
Yeah. I felt much better today when I was at the Orthodox Church. That's what I was growing up with. This religion, right? So the priest was reading the special prayer for that, and he asked me to come next week, by being in land for 1 week, So I don't want to seem like I'm a ball who is jumping from this and to that. I just think that some things from the church, in the church, I cannot get, they're like all the time they're just praying. I cannot hear all the time. Like I will still go there, but I think I need to do more. That's why I'm here. Besides, lots of other things too. I don't understand why I'm here. Not just the meeting, Is it just a machine got sent to there, or?
See, it's very good that you came, and especially because you came when something is really happening. And I feel that because you came like this, you have a big potential to really realize what is here, because you're here with honest heart.
Yeah.
You really need something here. You didn't come here just to listen and say, oh, nice, nice. And I can see that what happened to you. It's happened to me also in a different way, and I would say I didn't recognize it for a long time until when I recognized it, I had to. I don't want to call it a ritual, but get rid of some things, throw away what I was given, because and it just came to me to an understanding that I was in a similar situation. I'll explain to you very short about the lady and everything, because since it's already happened to you, you probably want to understand what happened.
Yeah, I want to. That's for sure. Why?
Yes.
Okay, why did she do? I think it's because business, but maybe she wants to get some energy, or
Yes,
for me
yes.
change the energy. Okay, clear my mind.
Yes, yes, because I usually don't speak anything about these type of things with people, because it creates a belief in people, and it's better without that kind of. For you, this is already happening, so I can speak to you very openly that what you meant is so-called energy vampire.
Energy vampire?
Don't put much attention on the words. It's only a description of these kind of people, because very obviously she obtained your energy, that how you experience yourself after is not, you're not supposed to feel bad after these kind of people. If they really are here to help you, you're supposed to feel better. You met a person who somehow gave you her business card, made you to call her. She pretty much from the very beginning hooked you on coming and giving you some sort of problem that you have to come to her again to heal that problem. Before you met her, you didn't have a problem. Maybe there was something. Yes, but there's nothing big deal. She came into her life. There's a real problem. Here you go, $20. $20 you'll buy a problem. $40 will help to heal the problem. You know, so she. Oh, of course, for her, it's she's looking for people who she can sense, because she's sensitive. She can sense the energy of people, and maybe if you're going through something, she could pick up. Oh, there's something, because maybe the way you explained, they said something to her, so she felt, oh, there's a potential victim, and if she can put you into belief that she can help you, that's what.
She succeeded.
Yeah, that's what she needs.
Today, yeah.
She can help you. Oh, maybe somebody can help me to go through this. I didn't say anything that I can help you. You came here because you feel maybe there's something that can help.
Yeah.
I didn't never invite you. Oh, please come here. I can help you. Never. You came here because you feel maybe this can help. And right now, I'm making it clear for you. You're the person that you met in Vancouver, especially. There's a lot of these kind of people, because they feel.
Like her?
Oh yes, because they feel that there's a lot of people who are seeking, who are looking, who are still who don't know what's going on, and these kind of people are easy targets for them. That's why people who come here, I very clearly say that these people exist here. However, do not pay much attention to that. The experience that happened to you is good because it brought you to me, and now when I'll show you what is really here, you have no reason to be afraid of anything anymore, because she has no power over you. In this moment, no, she already has no power. In this moment, there's no way that she can do anything towards you. Because this moment, first of all, you're sitting in my presence, and in this presence, nobody else can come unless I give the permission. So there's no way for anyone to be in this presence. So first of all, you're free. Now nobody is like, as long as you're here, it's fine. And I'll show you that it's not only my presence, but your presence also. It's only that you need to recognize that this presence is actually your presence. And this experience is not some sort of magical experience that I'm having, but actually this is the experience of now. This is the experience of the present moment. The way she managed to make you go to her, she made a belief that it can help you in the future, because right now you may be feeling bad. But right now, in this moment, can you tell me how you're feeling?
I think I'm at the right place. That's what I feel. I'm still doubting, are you a trance or something going to me? Yeah.
Well, as I said, if some sort of trance type of state happens, it's okay. I'm not creating that.
Because I just want to say something. Next day when I call her, I said, hey, did you do something to me? I was so scared. She says, yes, I did. While you were sleeping, you were telling me everything. So I basically told her everything. Then she was giving me the information I gave her. She didn't say anything, even I speak with my husband, nothing. Because I didn't tell her. And there is one person in my life who is like bugging him all the time, and I don't want to talk to him. I think he got in touch with her, actually. I'm not sure though.
Okay, so if you're not sure, don't think that much. We don't have to think that much.
Can I say
Oh yes, of course, go ahead.
before you walked in, we talked about people telling stories and creating stories.
Yes.
Stories that can hurt them or stories that can help them. So it's nobody but ourselves who have the power to choose what kind of story we're going to tell ourselves. And right now, you have the power to choose what's important in your life, your well-being or your suffering. And if your well-being is important, you choose to tell yourself the story that creates your well-being. And there's no such thing as my strength. There's no such thing as people who can have power over you. You give them your power. That's it. And there's no such thing as vampires. This is another story. That you will give your power to somebody. There's nothing to be afraid of. Because there's nobody that can do you damage. You are the one that decides to give yourself over to someone else. So it's up to you to decide how you're going to take care of yourself. What's important to you.
I understand that I allowed her to come to do this stuff. I understand that. So now it's a decision of how I'm looking at the church, I'm looking here for an answer, right? But I know it's inside there, I don't know how to find it, how to make it up, you know.
You need to decide.
I'm for my well-being, that's for sure. I'm here for my well-being, and I feel comfortable here.
Would you want to find in this moment? What are you looking for?
Well, I do want to know what is this enlightened the soul, and why I have the feeling that I don't want to go back to the social life, and I am actually not sure. I'm all the time balancing. I'm not that sure of myself, not that confident, because for a while I was like thinking, yes, I'm ready to be a good mother, but why? But then when I speak with my husband, ideas came into my mind, and I said, I'm not ready for that. I don't even know if I want to take that responsibility. And maybe this situation which happened to me, maybe shows me that I need to just do some other things in life which would make me or famous, or I was trying myself to be an actress already. But I stopped. That's the thing, that I all the time stop whenever I start. I don't continue. I find it boring at that point. And I just find something else. I don't know, I cannot find something in there about who I am and what am I supposed to do in this life. What I really like to do.
Very good. I think you're just talking just before you came that so many people are interested in this, the world of social activity, of doing something, of trying to trying to create a life out of something. And right now you're at the point that you don't really know. You don't necessarily feel like you want to be in that social. public anymore as much you want to find yourself, as much it's.
Yeah, it's half and half. For example, I'm seeing somebody right now. It seems to be perfect. He says he likes me. I'm not bugging him as other girls. Everything. But for some reason, he is not ready for a serious relationship. So again, this keeps me back up and say, well, maybe this is a sign for me not to get into a serious relationship, not to get married. But maybe there's a thing I need to do something else in life. Like not to go back to the failure, but something else. Or on being an actress, or helping people, or bringing to their mind that God is the most powerful. And I think it's like, which is whatever she did to me. I don't know.
But you want to know.
I want to know. Yes.
So, which part of you feels that it wants to know, and actually, which part of you wants to do all of these things, and which part of you wants to know? Is it two different parts? Then how does it feel?
It is two different parts. You mean right and left, or?
Well, in your experience, there's you say that something wants to become an actress or to do this, or so something wants to do something, and then you say also that you want to know. So, are these two different energies?
Yes. The intuition I think I have in here wants um, to be an actress, wants to relate to the soul, uh, something different, experiences something different. Um, the part is normal things people do, like get married. I'm already 30 years old. I already need to think about my family. So maybe intelligence tells me that I need to already think about my future, like getting a career, finding a good person, a right person for marriage. And one more thing is that I'm confused about is why did I get here when actually I could get reach my spiritual life in there too, in fact, like in Europe. Confused, still confused.
Yeah. You see, I can see that there's a lot of energy wanting to see life in perhaps a certain way, but at this moment, life isn't like that. In this moment, you're in the position where you really don't know. You don't know anything about how the life in relationships will go. You don't know anything about how the life will God or spirituality will go. You don't know anything how it will go with the negative things, how it will go with your career or doing something.
I'm sure that with my trip to the lady, it's gonna be okay soon. I'm gonna come back to normal. But what I noticed today, yesterday and today, I was working with this church, right? And I noticed that I changed already. I came back, but not the same one. Not the same who was the next day after the visit to the lady, but a little bit. Something is like I'm feeling that uh, I'm there to help people to do something. I don't know what. I'm feeling that there is something is going to show up very soon from my side with helping people finding themselves, or I don't know, something is not me. No, it's not that same Anya who was 2 weeks ago before going to her. It's not the same who was in the hospital. Was confused with seeing the faces. Today I'm more like really something holy came into me.
Well, if it happens, yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah, if it happens that it expresses in a certain way that it helps people, it's great. But before that, what's the most important is to help yourself. Where after that, you don't know, you may not do anything of that what you feel now because it's only now you feel like that. After you come to really find yourself and to know yourself, you may find that you have no interest to talk to anyone at all.
Yeah,
It may be like that, or you'll find that actually something says something and people find it helpful, but it doesn't feel that you are doing that.
yeah, it doesn't.
So in this moment, my most interesting thing to find out is in this moment, who are you?
In this moment, I am not the same who I was before. I am something new. I can feel it. What I say, actually, a friend today was asking me about his relationship with his girlfriend. And whatever I told him, using the experience I passed through, using the situation I became after the situation, he was so amazed. He said, oh, you're a completely different person. Who are you? I just said thank you. I'm glad that you are happy. That's all I said. Because I don't know who I am.
So in this moment,
I'm different.
and that different part of you, what does it feel?
Yeah,
What are you like?
I'm not afraid of that difference. And it's more confidence. It's a feeling that something is going to happen more, a big change is going to happen with me.
Do you feel that you're looking after yourself?
Um, mm, no, I think somebody is having a teenager and is doing something with it. Like the way I'm changing is not me, myself. I have the feeling that somebody's controlling me.
You feel that someone has power over you.
Yes. And if before, like 1 week ago, I was sure that the power was having the lady over me. Now I feel that God has power. That's the feeling I have. It's a group positive power. I mean, experiencing right now. I don't know if I can say something else.
Well, it's not about what we have to say; it's about what we have to experience. Because we can say a lot of things, but then that doesn't say much, really. And many people say many things, but it doesn't say much. It's just some sort of talking, which is really empty.
Okay, what I still feel, I don't feel that worried inside anymore. What I was before going to the lady, after going to the lady. I feel now quiet in here. I feel I'm like, even I don't know what's gonna happen, I feel like we just do this gonna happen. And plus everything, I will do good to help. Because my uh, purpose, like before going to the lady, was to join a company, helping people, helping adults with saving money, joining a financial group company. So that purpose of helping people was before already. So now I'm not sure I'm going to help people, but I'm not sure if it's going to be related to money or to spirituality or their spirituality, not sure about. And what I noticed after going to the lady, it's 7:07 p.m., right? I noticed that after going to her, I all I'm focusing at 00. I'm honest with you, I don't know what it is. It's just something about I'm just seeing where it's just very real, it's not my life is really, really controlling my feelings and my life.
In this moment, is there any control that you feel?
Yes, it's still control.
And who watches the control?
Like, I think it's confusing because before I was sure it was the lady, then I went to church. I think this adjusted it a little bit, and maybe God. God in within me. Like it's the same me, yeah, who's controlling me. I understand that. I don't know, another force, another energy is controlling me.
And who is observing all of that? There's an observation that something is controlling you, right?
Yes.
So that observation, is this something that you are, or is that something that is apart from you?
It's something apart from me. Can't give you an answer. who is, don't know. I know it's positive for now, that's what I feel. Before, I wasn't sure it's positive or, because of just understanding this lady who is making money, so this is not positive. Already it gave me that. It was controlling, but not positive energy coming into my life. So now I think it's more positive. I think all that experience happened to me is for good. For some reason. Even I went to church and they told me don't ever go to this kind of ladies anymore. Even that, I feel she made a very big challenge to change into my life, and I think it's for good. I'm not gonna go ever to her, but I know that this
Maybe that pushed on you.
Yeah.
maybe.
And I think
No,
I think actually this is what you're trying to say, that even how bad it was, what it brought to you now is actually good.
yeah, that's for sure. It's good. As I said, I feel positivity here. I didn't feel that as the lady, though, but I ran to her. Because I didn't listen to my intuition. The bus didn't come. I was walking so much. I said, oh, I maybe don't have to go if the bus is not there. Here's a sign. Now I need to call Satsang. Let's do that.
Of course, but that doesn't matter right now, because actually it seems even though it happened and it brought all of that, right now there's some shift where you feel, as you say, you feel quiet inside. You feel more peaceful. Maybe even that there's some sort of God presence taking over your life, and it is good because at least you don't feel that there's some negative energy controlling your life.
No.
But what we're doing here, we're trying to observe uh, that there's many thoughts that may come after to say I want to help, but they're not fully. I would say they shouldn't be fully expressed yet, because you yourself have to mature in your being enough to be complete. That you don't need to even have this idea to help. If it happens, it's okay. I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, but as long as you feel that there's still a purpose to help, that purpose is coming is still not from the quietness. Because if you can be very quiet inside, like we came here, we sat in the meditation and we just stayed in quiet because we like to be quiet. And in this quietness, there's no negative ladies, there's no positive church, there's nothing. We just quiet, right? And in this moment, that's why I say there's nothing that can affect you, because in this presence, there's nothing here, only being in the natural quiet way being. As soon as you encounter people like that lady or like any other people, they have always intentions to gain something out of, for their benefit or whatnot. If they're already conscious that they can do it, they may treat you in a way that they'll bring it to themselves and you get some sort of effects or whatnot, which is not necessarily pleasant. But then, what happened now? You experiencing that, your life is shifting dramatically, which is good, because there's perhaps only once in a lifetime that we have that moment that you feel that something really happened, that my life is never going to be the same. Something that changed you, that now that's why you're here. Because something happened in your life that you decided to want truth over lie. Maybe you before also went to the church and listened to what priests say, but right now, as you say, you don't even hear half of the time what they say. You don't even understand what those prayers are for. You more feel that coming here, maybe more of an explanation than sitting there. So there's a shift to understand first before going to any practice, even to listening to the priest. Even if in the church you feel better after, you don't understand still what's the point of it. What do they do? What's good for me? But in here, you can understand that what is the most important thing is this moment. Because in this moment, this lady isn't here, the church isn't here also, but you are here. And you are that quietness which is inside you. You are that presence which feels godly, even like divine, as this positivity. Because naturally, Your being doesn't carry any negativity. Naturally, you're empty out of everything. Naturally, right now, there's nothing going on. We're all sitting here and talking, oh, how nice it is to be peaceful and in this moment silent. But really, that's what we're doing. We're not doing anything really much more spectacular than this. We're only saying how nice is to be in this understanding that nothing can take away the presence. Yes, because you are, first of all, you are in this presence, and then all the thoughts and everything comes.
You were, my first question was asked who you are, you answered it, comparing it to your past experiences. What was happening, that's how you're answering. I don't know if you're aware of it, how you're answering it. Now it's being pointed to quieter, and so you're not saying who I am compared to your past, like you said, I'm different. You're comparing it now. It's like you're looking at who you are now without that past experience.
Do you feel by coming here that you want to take something out of here and to bring something out of here? Or do you feel that you want to come here and perhaps understand something that you don't need to take anything out of here, but you can walk out with a new self, with a new experience that, you know, this is what it feels like really true. And then you go and experiment with your life after you leave here. Because I tell to everyone who comes here, by the time you're gonna leave through those doors, you will not be the same as you came in.
Yes. I feel like after going to her, I feel I hear my voice with triple, double or triple tones, volume. I mean, you know, I can hear myself very loudly. So that's why I'm sometimes a little bit scared. So answering to your question, yes, I came here with finding an answer about the how am I enlightening my soul? How do I find that um, relationship between inside my world and me, and what's my destination in this world?
Okay.
I was expecting this from here, and at the same time, I think when I'm gonna go out, I will be more quiet because, like, I like to get all this energy into me just quiet. Okay, I'm ready to be quiet. What is this for? Just to calm myself down. That's my understanding because I'm usually very energetic.
I'm happy that you posed the question again: how to enlighten the soul, and what is the destination, or what is the purpose, right? And this is probably
That's what brought me here.
oh, good. So let's let's create a purpose. In this moment, I will create a purpose. The purpose is to enlighten your soul.
Like how?
Then the question comes how, because truthfully, the only and I cannot say purpose because it creates a judgment, but in my perception, the existence of each and every single being in this planet is to know itself and to enlighten itself into understanding of who they really are. Just otherwise, we don't know what we are. We're just living in the idea, I am this, I am that, I am doing this, I'm doing that. Otherwise, we have no idea what's going on, just we believe that. But once the question comes, as you say, how to enlighten the soul, how to understand myself, this is where it becomes interesting because from everybody else who are looking that direction, you now stand here with few couple of us and look this direction. You don't see a crowd of people here because everybody else is looking somewhere else. But you see yourself here because this is something that feels important to you. How to enlighten the soul, how to understand myself. And this is what we're trying to do here. This is exactly what these meetings are about. How to enlighten yourself, how to understand yourself. And the way we do it is by, first of all, coming to realize that we're nothing that we think we are. Because everything that you will think about yourself is not you. You see the thoughts, right? You see the loud voice in your head, meaning you're not the loud voice. You see that voice, right? Because you're watching it, aren't you?
Yes, actually, yes.
So now the body. you see the body, right? So you're not the body. You see your hand, but you're not your hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the body is not you. The voice, the loud voice in your head is not you. The thoughts, which may be turned into loud voice, is not you also, right? Because you see it.
Yeah, I'm like there somewhere and looking at it.
Yes, yes. So now the feelings that come, also you watch them, right? No?
Feelings are.
Okay.
You're aware of it.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure out. Are you aware? Are you conscious that there's feelings that you can see them? Of course, the feelings you experience them, you feel them,
Yeah.
but still you see them. Yes. So that's why this is the first and the, how to enlighten the soul. First, by recognizing what is being watched, like this computer, this couch, him. It's all not you because you see them. You see your thoughts, you see your loud voice in the head, you see your body, you see your emotions, you see your feelings. All of those are being watched, meaning all of them is not you. So now when you say, I am like this or like that, I'm this kind of person, I used to be a very negative person. Is this you? Or you're watching that happening in front of you? Are you watching a thought saying, I am this? Because whenever you will say I, and now make an experiment. When you will say I, observe, is it you or is this the mind or the thought saying I? Because whenever something wants to say I, usually it's not real I. It's only the idea of who I am. So now, if I ask you, who are you before your name and before everything you know? If in this moment you lost all of your memory, you don't remember anything. You don't remember anything but this moment. You don't know your name. You don't know anything at all. If in this moment I would ask you, who are you? What would you say?
I would say somebody who observes.
Yes, see? This is how immediately you start enlightening your soul. You come to experience that in this moment, you are something that observes. This is sense of me sitting here and listening and understanding. So this is what is more real, what is more true, because observing is first before me. It's not like me comes and say, hey, observe. You observe me saying, hey, observe. So right now, you already made the first step to enlighten your soul. You recognize that you're that part which is observing, not that part which is being observed. Because this is the whole trick of the mind, and the whole world is believing that I am this body, and somebody can hurt me, and they believe that. But now you know that I observe. I am that which observes.
A few minutes ago, I said that somebody is emoji controlling my life, and now I'm saying that I am someone who observes.
See, now you observe also this.
Yeah.
See how funny it gets. It's how quick it is.
Yeah.
So, very good. So, in this moment, do you feel that anything controls you? Can anything control that which observes? Yes. See, very good. Very good.
These 5 years.
Yeah. That's fine. Stay in this position for us, do something.
Well, lucky you, you didn't think that for 10 years. Many people think that for 10 years and they sit in this position, they do some hypnosis, they do some practice, and they cannot just come and sit down and say, hey, I am that which observes. Nothing that, nobody can control that. That's it. You're free.
Maybe if I would come here before, going to the lady, like, the way I was like really confused, jumping from this, maybe I would be like the sort of the person you described. I would still wait for something, or would it give you the right answer? Yeah, now that's the thing that after going to her, I am more like, I get my time to think a little before saying something or acting, do something. That's why I'm saying like, please might say that it never go there, but and I will never go there, but I know that for something good that changed.
See, we also observe the quality that there's some space before saying something, space before doing something, which before you just say something, you just do something.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now, there's some space to observe before saying, should I say it? Before doing, should I do it? And this is a quality which not many people have. Not many people have space to observe before saying anything. You only find people fighting, 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 and then say, I'm sorry, I apologize for saying that. I didn't think before saying. And so what if you think before saying, you say, hey, maybe not say. So there's already a shift that is in you as experience, as space before identifying with any type of experience, which is a very good thing. This space, this is actually what we're trying to, I cannot say trying to focus on to expand, but perhaps let this space to be primary experience over the going and saying something. That's why how to have more of this space. People usually meditate. I don't necessarily say you should meditate, but if you feel that this is comfortable for you, like we will do it here also, we'll sit down and have this some sort of meditation where this type of space, as you already mentioned, this observing space is pretty much sitting and observing whatever it is. And you don't identify with anything, just observe anything that happens.
Just want to say something I never meditate and
Very
I heard, I know the position first of all, and afterwards
my
I don't know
position.
anything.
Don't get confused about position. I'm sitting here only for a few minutes. Just before you came, I was talking to people that, oh, you know how many people sit in this position for so long, and they hurt themselves, they sit in pain, and they feel that they have to sit like this because this is the position to have. No, you can sit as you're sitting now if you're comfortable. That's perfect. It is actually even better because you don't feel that you have to adopt any position. If you find yourself that you're comfortable to sit like this eventually, go ahead and sit. The reason why people say that this position is position for meditation is because technically you could sit the longest without moving and being still in this position. And otherwise you may move, you may shift and something.
So in meditation, when you go to observe, and also in your reality, you kind of see the observer, so when your life starts to go into maybe a story again, you can say, who, who wants that? So now you have that observer, and just, if you're always watching from that observer point, then even when you're walking around doing whatever, you meditate, because you're observing.
Yes, the meditation isn't sitting and doing nothing. The true meditation is about living your life in presence, living your life in consciousness. This is the true meditation. Because if people who sit to meditate and try to get some sort of feeling, something out of it, they just practice some sort of nonsense. And for them, it's fine. For me, it's a practice for nonsense. What I say meditation is how to live life in full presence and full consciousness. And in this space, as you already can experience. Because see, right now, there's a big potential that your life, as you say, is shifting and is going to be a big shift. Why? Because you lived before very much the opposite as you are in this moment. In this moment, you say there's space before saying, there's space before acting. You observe. Just a few minutes ago, you said something is controlling you. Now you say you observe that some sort of thought wanted to tell you that something is controlling you. So from this moment, this is where the true meditation begins. To really observe your whole life, because when you live through those doors, people will still come to you, people will still talk to you, maybe you'll even meet the same lady again. Well, that would be not something that you'd want, but if you do meet, now she cannot do anything because now you're present, now you're conscious, and now you're observing before that perhaps wasn't there so much as it is now. So right now, it doesn't matter what happens. You're observing everything what happens. So meaning, if you observe something that happens, it's not you. You don't have to get affected by it. If somebody tries to say something bad about you, you observe as they say it. That's okay. It's their problem. It's not you. You're observing it. You observe somebody doing whatever and it may appear painful. Okay, you observe that pain, but that's okay again. It's not you. The pain is not you. You observe. Anything you observe throughout your whole life, throughout your whole day, is not you. It's only to observe, to recognize that everything that is being observed is not you. What you are is that presence which observes everything. So in this moment, there's nothing that really can control you, because how can you control this moment? We cannot control this moment. We can try to fight how we're going to control this and create a big plan. But eventually, once we try to control it, something will happen that we cannot. Like the whole world is full of governors who try to control this moment in the way they want it. But eventually something doesn't work. Because you cannot control anything. You have to recognize that nothing is there in life that controls anything. Control is only an idea, a thought of the mind for you to believe in it. Because we all believe that I have choice to control. If you were to have a husband, you would believe that I have choice to control how should my husband act, or when should he go to the bar or not. They, there's immediately a choice of control for that. But once you recognize in this moment that there is no control, then you realize that if your husband goes to the bar, it's not your fault. It's it just happened like that, and you cannot control that to happen. So if you get upset that he went to the bar, what's the point? If you recognize that there is no way that you control that, that's fine. But if you want to have a position of control, that I'll control him to go or not, the more you actually will control, the more he'll go to the bar. If you let him out, go. If you want, then I'll just please let him.
Well,
It's fine.
for me, it's very interesting. Not talking about my husband because it's past, right? We are friends, but I have somebody else I'm seeing now in my life. I really want to be in a position to observe myself, how to make him, how to make him to wanna be with me all the time. Because I'm not pushing now. He does whatever he wants. I never know when he goes to the bar or something like no. But and the interesting thing is that he likes me how I am, the way I'm not controlling. That's the whole idea about that. But still, he's not ready for the responsibility, and I'm thinking, when am I gonna be with you? Going out just as a boyfriend and a girlfriend to hold hands, never happens. So that's why I actually ended up to go with that lady. But now, I'm in a position.
So you wanted the lady to do
Well, she made me to go there, yeah, I understand, but actually the most important, she understands that I was worried that, what's going on with my partner, he wants to be with me, he tells me, but he's not ready. He actually wants to go to do something about it because she was not right with doing that, what she did to me without asking me. And then they want to ask her, what did you do to me? Actually, when I was in front of her the next day when I went to pick up that stuff, I said, why did you do to me? Why did you talk to the spirits without telling me? She said, because I would scare the spirits. That's why she didn't tell me. So, which is not right. So maybe I didn't want that, maybe. Are you observing that? You have the choice to observe that. And when you do observe that, you put distance between that story and the person who observes, the one who observes. And when you put distance between that story and the one who observes, you start to understand that this is just a story. Yeah, nothing more. It doesn't have to be there. So interesting, it's it's already the end of the world, and we're about, like I'm getting hypnotized, honestly, now like the page where a book is open at the right page, and I'm like finding the truth of the whole idea of this world.
Well, it is really the end of the world because it's certainly the end of the world that you've been living in. Now the world that you're gonna live in is gonna be very, very different because you observe and other people don't, and you'll observe that other people don't observe because right now you have no choice anymore. You already observed. Let's make it simple. Now you already saw what is there to be seen. That you are that observing conscious presence. There's nothing more to be seen than that. But in life, right now, what's going to happen? You'll go through your life and you'll observe many different things that sometimes you'll get to believe in the story again. Sometimes you'll identify with the story and it may take some time until you come back and say, oh, I'm only observing. I'm actually only being this quietness, but I believe to be this again. I again believe that. I again believe that loud voice in my head. But you will always come back to the same point that you are in this moment, that you are observing. And this is something that you cannot lose, because this is something that you always had. Only believe that you didn't. You came here believing that you have to maybe spend many years to get this, but you came here and you got it immediately, so good. You don't need to work for it more. Right now, just become comfortable that when you speak, observe what is speaking and what is being spoken. Some story may be spoken, and you may feel that it's interesting, it's fine. And then sometimes observe that something what speaks is not necessarily you.
It is also a story. What speaks is also a story.
Because the one who is speaking, the one who always says I is the biggest story that there is. Because I is telling so much more stories to you. But first of all, that I that you believed yourself to be, and I'm making a very clear difference. I that you believed yourself to be, you don't anymore. Now you know that there is observing presence, which you are. But I, who you believed yourself to be, believed many other stories. That's why it had pain, that's why it had suffering, that's why it had good times, bad times. Because that I, the story of I, could always believe in many other stories. Any other story that comes and believes. But now, the story of I is being recognized as a lie, as not truth. In a way, it's true because it's there, but in the truth, it's only a form of a lie that we're living itself.
Or an illusion.
Yes, or an illusion, actually. The story of ourselves is an illusion of who we are. And right now, you see that illusion has been broken. Right now, there is observance. And how strange it is that in this moment, this is the end of the world, where the end of the world means the end of the illusion.
When you tell a story of the I with the boyfriend in a certain way, or I want my life with my boyfriend in a certain way, now you can see that that's a story. And that story is causing discomfort. Yeah, it's just all seen. It's a story. And then when you stop creating stories, then you lose your life.
Yes, because what he says that one thing to have, a more serious relationship, it's a good story that the mind wants. The story of you would want a better story for yourself to have some serious relationship with this guy. But in this moment, honestly, you have no choice. You have no way to make him to want to be with you. You have no way that you can control anything, because the choice to control is another illusion. You can only observe, yes. And if you observe,
This is the fastest I've ever seen. We sit here and hammer on people's heads, and they run from them like you wouldn't believe. And how possible? And you come in and just Okay. That's amazing.
Well, she came with the need. I told you, those people who need, they cut. And you're just being a perfect example. When your need is transformed into seeing, when your suffering is transformed into seeing. And once you, as I said, you yourself said, observe. You observe that perhaps that intention to be in a serious relationship is a story, which is fine. It's a nice story, but you don't have to do anything about it. You just stay as you are, stay observing, stay quiet, and observe. Perhaps he will say, "Hey, you know, I really like how you're just observing, you have no control, and I want to make something serious about it." But you cannot control this. You can only observe. So it's actually, I'll give you an experiment. Observe that you want to have something more serious and you would like it to be. And observe that you cannot do anything about it. So just be with him in whatever way it is. Just be happy that you're with him, right? Because you're happy.
Yeah.
So observe that happiness, enjoy that, and whatever happens, just keep observing. And to your interest, something interesting may come in observation, which may surprise you or not. So right now we don't know, but do an experiment. Observe the story of wanting, observe the story of wanting to intensify, wanting to make things faster. Observe all of that, but don't do anything about it. Just observe. And I'm not promising anything, but I'll assure you that those who've done that and went on and observed their life, they come back and say that, well, to my surprise, everything changes. As soon as they stop doing anything, I just observe everything starts happening itself. But when I start doing something, I cannot make it. But when I only observe, it happens. I don't understand what's happening. They come here and they say, I don't understand what's happening. I'm not doing anything, but everything happens.
It is the law of plus and minus. You know, as much as you're pushing, the much you're keeping away that person, let's say, or if you leave him alone, he's nothing to think actually about you. Because, I'm not there all the time, not fighting anything. But of course, he's starting thinking, hey, why doesn't she call me? Why? You know? That's a nice story.
That could be also a good story. See, you're free to observe that this is also a story. And but again, that because you're observing, you can observe this story also with the story that wants to make something serious and observe all of those stories and don't do anything. Just really don't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, don't do anything.
How many people come here and get excited about not doing anything? I agree. You're probably one of the fastest people who came here and just observed and is excited to do nothing now.
So is this what you want to say? Is that the way you feel lighting your soul?
Well,
Being an observer?
yes, that's being an observer and having nothing to do.
You have enlightened yourself because now you see things in a different way. So you have a new understanding and a new vision. So it's like you turn lights on and you enlightened yourself.
Well, why I wanted to enlighten my soul, I didn't even know what this is, right? So why I wanted to do that is that when I ended up in the hospital, like a guy who met me 2 years back, he actually changed my life. That's why I ended up to break up with my husband. He said, told me, I want you to be happy. So, and you are not with your husband. I don't want you to, like, he didn't tell me to split with him or something. No, he just showed me that I can do more in this life. So that's when I started to, he sent me a link with a psychologist, psychological stuff and stuff. And I met a person, psychologist person, and he's like actually giving classes to different families in order to know how to make a relationship will work better. And lots of things changed. So I ended up to offer to my husband to split. It was not that he's to work anymore, but he didn't see me, he didn't listen to me anymore. So it was a good thing just to live separately. So now, when I was in this situation, the lady, I called this guy because I was scared, right? I was so scared of her, of what she did, because I don't know what she did. She could have been done, hypnotized me because I was sleeping, she could talk to spirits, whatever, I don't know. And I was scared, so I called him. I still don't know who he is, who he really is, trans or, but he told me, don't, you finding answers somewhere else. The answer is in you, but you're looking for the answer somewhere else. And it still was confusing for me. What does he mean? He said, enlighten you, so you gotta talk to the Anya who is inside there. So for me, it's still confusing. What does he mean? I understand there's maybe another power like more than me, but how do I find it? Where do I go? He says, exactly when you're gonna start asking these questions, just that your soul, you inside world will tell you. I don't know. I was like going to church, and I was looking at my free time on Facebook, and I ended up with you. So I just followed it. I'm just here.
Connected so well.
And I guess,
I'm connected with souls and universe and everything.
and the thing is that the most important thing is that something told me, yeah, it's good positivity, just go there with energy. You see, I was joining sometimes here one group, and then I said, no, I'm not going. But this time I wanted to make it. And the person who wanted me to help him with his relationship between his him and his girlfriend, asked me some advice. So I was helping him, and he's very amazed how I answered his questions. And I said, actually, you can come here this night. He is interested. He already joined me on Facebook and coming next time as soon as possible. Yeah, he just couldn't make it today and left me home. I said, okay, help him. He's in a sort of depression. I'm not gonna push him. I said, it's up to you. But then my boyfriend said, hey, do you need a ride to drive in Brazil? I was like, really? He said, like, I was already maybe next time or something. He just asked me, I said, yes. So there is an energy who brought me here. I wanted it, that's why I'm here.
Very good. So you couldn't escape. You said that you're gonna be late, and I say yes, fine.
Yeah,
we can
that's
come.
absolutely true. I was like, yeah, I will come, but it's late, and maybe there's people who started already their things. I don't know. You're right. So, and then when you said, just come, I said, yeah, I'm going to take the bus. And then my girlfriend said, yeah, I can take you, right? It's making it faster, right? So.
Look at that, everything worked out. And now, in this moment, are you confused anymore or no more? See, perfect. You come here.
I was like, when we were talking and doing that, I really, for real, I was like, sort of thinking, sleeping or something different. But then everything, yeah, I just gave me an answer. So easy. Why was I so blind before? So now I'm gonna just go, like, sitting here and it's like nothing, just leaving your person.
You have to come to other meetings and watch how many people will sit there. And it's just like, there's something else. No, there's something, it's just amazing the mind. It gets a block on some people. And it's months, years, they can't. Yeah.
That's why he's laughing, because he was in the same position as you are, and he took way longer than you to understand what you did. No.
Yeah.
Even when I did finally see it, it was coming in the line. Bullshit, you're tricking me. It's simple. It's that simple.
Well, I know him for like one time, so I was like already experiencing the good energetic here. Like, yeah, it was a simple problem and whatnot, but it was not that simple problem for me. Like, I met him, I have lots of trust. I don't know. I thought I'm a woman, first of all. That's why, because I thought I'm a more,
That's true. They have more intuition
yeah.
for us. We're more, men. But
That's
see,
probably
my gosh, very good. So we met in a potluck, and now we meet in a totally different way.
yeah.
Yeah.
That time when I noticed it was like, I said, well, I enjoyed it. I met new people. I thought that's why you guys meeting. I'm inviting lots of people because you feel lonely. That's why I thought.
Oh yeah. She asked me, why do you do these meetings? Are you lonely or?
Yes, so, because actually and I know why, the question is not, everything is clear. I was feeling lonely. That's why I came here to meet other people, right? So that's why I asked him. So why we guys meet each other?
See.
For friends or something?
See, now it's very clear. You even observe that you were feeling lonely and you were projecting.
Yeah.
See? Of course, it's very amazing when you start observing everything in this way that you're now. The whole world, the whole life becomes clear because you observe. You don't believe in anything. You don't think. You don't just observe, and only observing seems like it doesn't do anything. Like as you say, so what do I do now? Well, just observe and do nothing. And you're excited about that,
Yeah.
which is good because to many people, if I say do only this alone, observe and do nothing, that's too much for them. It's like no, I need something more than this. But this alone, as small and as stupid and as silly as it will seem, this will change your whole life. And it already did. Right now, it's done. Right now, you already know this. That you observe whatever comes and you have nothing to do. You maybe came here believing that I'll give you something to do. I'll give you some hypnosis, something that will help you.
Actually, I thought we were going to meditation.
Oh yeah, we should do that also. We will do that. Just to, of course, but that will be doing nothing also.
Yeah, because I'll be an observer.
Oh yeah, he fell asleep. He was meditating and fell asleep. But you see, even if I say when we do meditation, we're not going to be doing anything, as I said, because you're only going to be observing.
I think Anya wants water.
Oh, of course, right? There's water and blueberries and everything. Yeah. I want water actually myself.
Oh, you should have been told me about water.
Oh no, it's just we're always having some snacks. Whoever is watching, stay with us. Observe us. See? Awesome.
Now, like you know.
Sorry. Yeah. Hello. Okay, I'll send you somebody to pick you up.
Is that what you asked?
Yeah. Are you ready? Okay.
At the right time. Once when I'm done,
Yeah, oh, too bad. Yeah, so very good.
you see,
Oh, very good.
I got lost. Like I had a sort of feeling that I'm more than this. I'm so good for change. I felt that. When now I go is like just taking it.
Oh, of course. Now, once you know it, that's it. Now you're just experiencing it. And somebody will come in here also, and we're gonna do a meditation. And we'll have.
So we're gonna do together meditation.
Okay. We'll sit down so that
I never done that.
exactly so that you'll know how it feels like. This pretty much we're gonna do nothing, but since we have few bells, they create a nice sound, and it's nice to be in that sound energy because it also feels very positive and very silencing, very quieting.
And I'm very sensitive to the sound. Like, I'm a very melodic person, visual melodic. Yeah. It comes from my parents. My father is a drum player. Not for now. 30 years ago he was. But he still wishes me I'm getting very rich and will help him to get drums. He sold his ones already.
Yeah. So it's then you'll be able to understand that meditation isn't anything more as just doing nothing. just being and observing, really, and that's all that it is. And if you can sit and observe doing nothing, you can also go and live your life and observe doing everything, but at the same time you. Oh yes, of course, the whole life becomes meditation. You're gonna.
There's a photo over here.
You came for the perfect time. You're gonna sit down and meditate with us now.
And then what?
Meditate with us.
Sorry about the work.
I think that just fine. Awesome.
What's this? Really?
No, I needed it.
I just realized I forgot to charge my phone. So
This, you know.
Sleepy dying.
We found it here, Ellie. We found it in the corner. It's not mine.
That's okay.
Yeah, but do you
I know, it's
realize
amazing
that?
that it was waiting here precisely for me.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's funny things here happens. So, you missed the whole big fun part.
Oh, gosh, not again.
She'll explain to you. They will explain.
Observing.
Oh my God. Wow.
An awakening.
I love that. Big into that.
So now it's your turn.
So,
Awakening to observing.
oh God, that's a lot. I'm just super.
Okay, so now tell me where are you stuck? Oh yeah, that's true. That's
My darkness side. I mean, I clearly just can't seem to tap into it. But I don't know, it must be there somewhere. I don't know, it was really interesting. I had an incident just earlier this afternoon. And I couldn't quite, like, I don't know, stay in observation.
oh, tell us about it.
Well, something happened, I got triggered. And I'm very conscious of the fact that I got triggered. And I believe that my triggers are intended to just push my buttons to kind of, I don't know, hopefully in the bigger picture get me to realize that that's not who I am. So lately I've gotten into this thing like, I'm observing anger, who am I? So that's the phrase that I will sort of or I'm aware of frustration, but who am I? This comes in, I am aware of, well then, who is I? So, but in that moment when I got triggered, and it was by a family member, and so it kind of really focused there, then I couldn't, and it didn't even occur to me to go to that space. I was just like in the reaction. Yeah.
And then when did you come to senses that you're observing the reaction?
And maybe half an hour later or something. But certainly not in the moment. But even after I heard it happen, sorry, I remember it happening. Yeah, I remember it happening. But even afterwards, I very much, yeah, I hope that person really should. And I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute, I can observe that too. And I don't know, but it's still, the frustration is very, very present. It's very palpable. And so to maintain poise, because I realize that okay, if I go into reactionary mode, somebody does something I don't like, and out of spite, I want to show them off with words. Try and say, oh, but you're such an X, Y, Z. But then that's just me playing out that game. And I recognize that, and it doesn't sound particularly appealing to me to do that because then it feels like I'm just stuck in that rut. It just means that I'm actually like being triggered, and that trigger is not being resolved. So I think there's two aspects actually. Rimvi, this is something I really want to talk to you about. There's one component of observation, and that part, okay, we've talked a lot about that. But then, is there another component of resolving the underlying issue?
Which is
Well, whatever the trigger is, like for example, if I'm triggered when a person says banana, then every time a person says banana, whoever it is, whether it's a family member or outside or whatever, then I get triggered.
Mm.
And because banana is an issue for me, then it will continue to recur. So it doesn't matter what the circumstances, where I am, banana will keep on recurring.
So you want to solve the issue of banana.
Exactly.
Okay, so I'll tell you the only best way to solve it is to, because the banana is not an issue. Me is an issue to banana.
Okay.
If you understand what I say, it's not the banana who is an issue to me, it's the me who is an issue to banana. The me who gets upset, the me who wants to be,
So I believe right now that banana is making me upset,
yes,
but that's actually not the case.
yes, the I is making you upset. The I who believes that banana makes you upset, that one is making you upset. Not the banana, the I who believes.
So that's the little thing.
Yes, so the way to resolve it is to observe. It's not the banana that is the problem, it's that one who feels that the banana is the problem, that one is the problem. Because if you feel that something there is a problem, why? Observe that. Observe why does that feel it is a problem. It will create a story. Oh, banana is a problem because it's yellow and you peel it and inside is white. Why it cannot be yellow inside? We create a story about it. But nobody questions that I who has a problem with it. Because maybe that one should be questioned, not the banana. We want to solve the problem of the banana without realizing that the problem is not with the banana, but with
Okay,
me.
so then let's say that I is the one who has the problem. Why does I have a problem?
Because there's banana.
No, but you just said the problem is not the banana. The
It's,
problem is the way that I relates to the banana.
so now banana can be anything.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
what I-
so I'm saying that why there is a problem, because there's something to make a problem out of. As long as there's
So then
banana, as long as
why
there's
does that
anything.
I go about making a problem out of freaking everything?
The nature of life is to see.
Yeah.
Nature.
This is the nature of the mind, to make a problem or to make something nice. It's making all the same thing. And the energy is given to identify either with a problem or with a pleasure. It doesn't matter whichever it is. It still gets energy to identify. Who cares whatever it's going to be? As long as it gets your attention to banana, it's happy.
So in other words, it wants to ensure that the attention is on anything other than itself.
Yeah.
So
That's why banana is a problem, but I, who has a problem with banana, is not a problem. Banana is the problem, not me. So it wants to ensure that everything
So
else.
it is in and of itself doing its own projection.
Yes.
And I suppose it does that with pleasure too. But if, like, I have a tendency to be more glass half empty than glass half full. So then, would that imply that the banana or rather I will constantly look for things that are half empty and keep on flashing them in my face?
Yep.
Because that's what I'm prone to. So that means even a person that is, glass half full, the same thing will occur, but in a sense, they will just be on a constant happiness or constant high because they're seeing everything is positive all the time.
No, it's just
In a way, yes. In a way, don't identify. Yeah.
As soon as something doesn't fit,
Well, yeah.
As
believing
long,
something will fit that eye, I will be threatened.
as long as you're believing in the eye,
Can't have no one.
you have to have the story of the eye to believe that it's perfection, happiness, or
The
this
story of the eye or the story of the banana?
The I.
story of the
How is it the story of the eye? Because the whole story from my understanding is that the banana is yellow and it should be white, so the story is all related to the banana, so it's not related to how.
But
who has the
But the
story?
person who's making the decision is
Yes,
the banana making the decision?
the person or the entity creating the story is the I,
Yes.
but it's creating the story about the banana.
Do you assume that the I who is creating a story about the banana may have a backstory about itself which it doesn't talk about with banana?
What kind of a backstory?
Well, that I doesn't like banana for whatever reason. That backstory is not paid attention to. You only pay attention that you don't like the banana. But the backstory, which already is there, the I has a story why it doesn't like the banana, is not paid attention to.
Why doesn't I like the banana?
That's for you to find out. This is if you have some sort of issue with the banana, you start looking in yourself. What is the issue? What is causing it? And you'll find, certainly you'll find if you go with your attention, you go through your being, you'll find that at this time in my life, 2 monkeys came and slapped me with banana in the face. And I did not like it. So from that moment, bananas are my enemies. You have to just give attention to the I to explore in your being what is causing the trigger also. Why not? It's not like you're going out of presence. You're being very present to observe what is causing a story for the banana not to be liked.
See, that's what I'm referring to as resolving the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means that even if it is I that is coming up with the story, that still means that I had some experience at some point in time that matters.
So then you go with your attention and observe that I until you track where did that begin. And then you say, this story, this is why. Now you understand. At the moment you understand, you're free. You release the hook that was triggering that. You may still get triggered by the banana, but you already know that this is acting because of that, and that is not me anymore. That is the past. That is the past story, and banana is presently no threat to my existence, so I don't have to be acting against the banana. Somebody will gonna watch this. Think, what are you talking about?
Here is a situation when you know you need to observe, you want to find the outrages, but you are not that patient. Just observe, but because it can be observing just like me, what happened just right away, to understand some things and observing a little bit longer. But it's the same answer. It's going to be or earlier or later. Just observe.
We can go now.
So yeah, Ali, you can take your time to observe the same thing as she did right now and observe that this is all that there is. To observe that I wants to have a problem with the banana and that I is a story and that I can be tracked why it has a problem and that story can be analyzed and observed. But so that,
I'm out in public, Joe Blow says something to me, that something makes me feel sensitive, and I react.
yes.
So what you're saying is that I basically doesn't like what Joe Blow said. It's not that Joe Blow could have just said whatever he wanted to say, or whatever he or she wanted to say. But I decided that whatever Joe Blow said, it didn't like. So
Yes.
it's not the bigger me, but it's the little I that didn't like it.
Mhm.
But because I don't recognize that, I believe that I am that I, and so therefore I believe that I don't like what that person said.
Yeah.
Then I react to it.
Yes.
So, but it's like it's still the grip that little I has on me is so strong that I really do in that moment believe that it is me. And even though we have these conversations, and to a certain extent I'm aware that in that moment, little I somehow has a way to put the freaking blinders on.
Can we just stop on this moment and I want to ask only one question. It will resolve everything. That little I, which has a grip on me, right? Me itself, is that you or the little I still?
When I'm saying me, I'm referring to the big I.
You're referring to the big I, but is it really the big I?
I'm assuming.
Yes. So that's why I'm questioning, because it's not an experience, and I can sense when you say that you're lying. When you're saying that little I has a grip on me, I don't believe in that, because it doesn't. That little I creates a belief in you that that little I has a grip on me, and you observe and you believe that. But really, it doesn't. Really, right now, you're capable to observe that that little I creates an assumption and a belief that it has a grip on me. And if I identify with me, I'll believe that. But if I observe right now that that little I, which has a grip on me, has no grip on me who observes that process. Because you can observe that that little I has a grip on me, but that which observes this grip, is it contaminated by that kind of thing or no?
Well, I guess I feel that because I haven't experienced, we'll call it the big time, because I can't, I know I'm saying I, and know that you're sometimes. I don't know how else to communicate.
Okay.
I doesn't have it's comments.
That's it.
Try to speak without I right now. When you say something, do not use I.
The entity that is
Very good.
robbing me is there. That's it.
Uh,
It's we. I only know that because I've noticed that priests have a tendency to refer to themselves as we.
Okay, so
Interesting.
this is banned from the discussion also. No me, no we, no I.
Yes, me, you
So-
can't just keep on changing the rules outside that.
We're expanding.
Expanding girls.
I haven't graduated yet. Give me a bit of time.
Oh, that's why we're giving you a best time to graduate now. Do your graduation now. We're gonna have a ceremony here. We're gonna clap and say, "Yay, Ali graduated." He's now not believing in the little I as me anymore, and he observes that the big I is a bullshit, and it also is not me. There's no I. That's the reality. The idea of the I is only to identify with something still. The truth is, there's an observation, and if you speak without I, the speaking goes like this. Observation is there of the small I and the big I, and the small I wanting to say that it identifies with me, and that me wants to experience the big I. Observation is there of all of that. That's it.
But you use I and you said you couldn't use that.
Don't do that on me now. I'm trying to point out an example and you're just running away.
No.
Yes.
Ali, don't try to escape anymore. We're trying to show you that there is no way to escape out of this. I know. But,
We are not escaping.
oh, good.
Right. Escaping is not happening. Only observation of who there is.
Oh, good.
And soon into the tongue.
Yeah, what a beautiful distraction. That's why I gained weight. I get distracted by sugar.
Well, luckily blueberries are fruit. Yeah.
Who brought the blueberries?
Yeah. If you want to have blueberry pancakes after. So, okay, let's just make it as simple as possible that there's nothing for you to do, there's observation already there. As you say, you've been observing this for many times, you've been coming, you observe the same thing, but there's some, unresolved things that keep triggers itself, and you observe that also. So you observe that even though you observe all of this, triggers still come up, the reaction is still there, some desire for it not to be there is also being observed, but at the same time, all of that is all observed. It's fine to want not to react, but the fact is, if the reaction is there, it's there. No matter if you're all awakened or not, the reaction may be there, and you're not there to control it because, first of all, you are not controlling anything. You cannot control to resolve anything. You can only observe, understand, and realize, and that's it.
So therefore, if I get upset at myself for reacting, I'm distracting myself.
Yeah, you're not doing any good. You're just doing whatever nonsense. So you believe that it's gonna be better to be upset with yourself. I have no idea why that would help. What helps to realize that my reaction was there. I perhaps did not observe full consciousness, but I observe now that it was there. I would
So
not
then
want
what
it.
about
That's
the
it.
desire that I should not react in that way? Is that just another little mind game from?
Well, it is a mind game, but it also is a natural desire because naturally you don't want to react in that way. Naturally, there's no reason for you to express in such way. So you still observe that this comes out of the past conditioning, out of something that is past story of you, triggered by whatever it happened lost how long ago. So the natural observation of that wants you to not act out of that past anymore, which is fine. But if you start involving yourself into a game to fix it, you get again into some sort of other game. What is it?
But wait a minute, part of the purpose of being there
Yes.
is to try, if not fix it, to understand it.
If you don't try to fix it, you understand it, and it fixes itself. If you try to fix it, you don't understand, then you just try to fix it. Like if I give you my computer to fix it, and you have no idea like how it works, but you just want to fix it, you want to help to fix it. I don't believe that you don't do much fixing. But if you understand how it works, if it needs fixing, you'll fix it. So that's all about yourself also. If you, instead of trying to fix yourself, understand yourself, any fixing, any healing, any help in your being will happen naturally.
I really like that.
Me too, actually.
I was observing that conversation really like.
I felt it was quite the
Somebody comes in and says,
yeah, so I should type it down.
The only thing that is truly, truly important is to be aware of observing.
But we're desiring.
Yes.
Desiring, in one sense, can be very cruel. In the sense that when one reacts in a certain way, then society will judge you for those reactions. And I suppose one can try and get to that place of just observing the reaction or observing the judgment of society.
And also observing at this present moment. This is a story, This is
Think
a-
about your story though.
but it is.
Why
Because
does it feel like one?
it, your opinion, your story that you're creating may not be something that someone else thinks.
But let's say, for example, you're out in a crowd, you get triggered. As a result, typically people react in one of two ways. They're either extroverted or introverted. They're extroverted, they'll start yelling and shouting, and maybe start fighting. They're introverted, they'll want to listen. Generally, you fit into one or those two categories or some range there. So, you're out in society, maybe you hide. If you do that consistently, this is another picture. Typically, what will end up happening is that your society will then judge your action. Yes, there is the third option. There is the ever, I would say, house of cards style, controlled, tempered individual who has literally owned themselves so well that they are able to, I don't know, mask their reaction so well that it's like they'll pretend like it never even happened. But either which way, let's say that you do react on either of your two extremes, and then society starts judging you for that, then that leads to a belief. Rather, it reinforces the belief that yes, I am whatever it is the person says.
Can I tell you my story? My own personal story. My belief is that anything that I say or think is a story that I project onto my
It's a story that you project on.
whatever, whatever the situation is. If I have a choice to believe that story or to remind myself that's a story. If I believe that story, I allow myself to get controlled by all the emotions that I produce.
So if
And all
somebody,
the struggles that I produce, and all the suffering I produce because of believing that story. If I choose not to believe that story and recognize that it's just a story, I free myself from suffering.
so that's the story that you tell yourself.
That's right.
What about when Joe Blow says something to you? So let's say Joe Blow says, you're important.
Okay, so I can react. I can be on the screen. And I can observe that when Joe Blow said something, I yell and scream. Do I want to suffer about that? Or do I want to say, that's my story, that's the situation?
But when you say that's my story, are you saying that what Joe Blow said is a story, or your reaction is a story?
My reaction. Because whatever happens, like for instance, the scene that you said before, whatever happens, I can decide how I want to. The words are hard to put on it, but how I want to be with it. Do I want to be in peace with what's going on? Or do I want to be in suffering with what's going on?
But like, for example, Rimvi said earlier that we don't even control how we react.
That's right, I didn't
So
control it.
therefore, we do react however it is.
Yeah,
We can only really just observe.
that's right.
So
But in the observing, for me, in the observing that I am such a way, I create a distance from the I. The observing and the I. And the bigger the distance, the more I don't have to get involved in what the I is doing. I can let it go.
okay, that part I can follow that to a certain extent, like where, let's say I'm sitting in this room maybe and having all kinds of thoughts in my own head. However, the moment that one person says something and the second person says, let's say somebody says, you're blue. Okay? And you think, okay, you know what, forget about it. Another person says, you're blue. At a certain point in time, you're going to perhaps start to believe that you are the color blue. So now, let's say that is a story. You can, I suppose, either choose to say, well, that is simply just a story. But in a sense, I feel that just saying that means that you're ignoring living in society. And the fact is that we do live in society. And if we don't pay attention to society, then we're likely going to end up, either falling down some hole because we're simply just not listening. So that's where it becomes a bit confusing for me to say, well, isn't there some truth to what the other person says? And assuming that there is truth to what the other person says, then it goes both ways. Because they can say negative things or positive things or negative things. And if they say those negative things, then at least in my experience, those negative things for me lead to a trigger.
I understand what you're saying. I think for me, the more I practice observing the I and how I deals with things and make stories up about things, the more I observe that, the more trust I put into, I put in the observing portion of me, the observing part of me, so that what the world says has no power. I'm totally powerful.
See, that's where I would like to get to. But you guys like to explain. I don't know, how do I feel to carry that
No, no, no. Let's get there. We can get there now if you want. But you have to really want. She came there, here, really wanting to get there. She did. So how much do you want to get there?
Apparently, I don't know.
Well, what I'm asking right now, this moment, not what appears, but in this moment. Like, how much do you want to get to that?
You said earlier, like, understanding is the ticket. Well, I feel I've been trying to understand for a long period of time.
Yes.
So yes, I do. I really want to get there, but I don't know. There's some reason why I can't.
I will try to ask a similar question that I asked some people who managed to, at this point, where they want to get that, and as you say, you want to really understand it, not just to try to understand it. If you can let go of desire to understand anything more in this moment, just to be as you are without needing anything more. That state may be there, we don't know, but let's just say, with you in this moment, just let go of wanting to understand or to know anything more. Maybe it's not needed. Maybe all that there is that there is an observation, and you're observing everything that comes, that goes, and the reactions are there, and maybe not pleasant, maybe not wanted. You're there.
I would say my immediate reaction to that is that there's a lot of resistance.
Good, 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 good. Very good. So by the moment immediately you want to let go of that trying for understanding more, resistance comes in. You're observing that immediately because that comes in. That's observed because you're this observation part. Why is there that resistance? Can you maybe observe what's
For me, there's a belief that if I were to stop in this moment my inquiry,
yes?
then I will continue to experience these negative emotions. And I wish to stop experiencing them, or I wish to experience them in a different way.
And now you're observing that belief, right? Like,
We want something better.
Right. Who?
Yeah.
I.
it's a belief of you want something better, and there's a resistance because if you let go, this belief is still there. So now, what if this moment we try an experiment and you do let go, and just for this moment alone, if you want, after pick it up back. So, just for this moment.
Just did let go.
I don't know.
No, we did. We were watching, we asked that question, we had a reaction. We did let go.
Maybe you let go. And you're trying to go.
You let go for a very brief moment, because you had a reaction, you even said, that feels like. So you tested it, you had a taste.
Maybe.
Because it's a very common experience. As soon as I ask this question, people say there's resistance. Immediate to your reaction, there's resistance. Okay, so now we observe there's resistance. We observe why, because of this belief. So now we observe this belief also. You're still just observing. So letting go is happening in this moment actually, because you didn't buy into your belief yet. You didn't buy into.
Well, just because I'm observing the belief doesn't mean that I don't believe the belief.
Yes, but it doesn't mean that you believe the belief.
Right now, I think I do.
You think you do.
You can observe yourself.
So right now you think you do, but you observe your thinking into believing, right?
Okay, it feels like just You know,
Okay, that's also being observed. That's also being observed.
fair enough. It's like a dog trying to catch its tail.
Yes, that's also being observed. So right now, just this. You're observing all of this. No more than that. No less. Just this.
And frustration.
Oh, wait, that also observing.
And distraction.
Mhm.
It almost sounds as though I'm blocking myself.
Yes, very good. Very good. So, but that's also being observed. That there's I who believes that blocks itself, but you're only observing, right? So nothing is blocking itself. It's only observing that feeling.
Maybe what you said is right, that I have to be able to follow this train of observation just deeper and deeper and deeper. Because I do, I'll go a few steps into it and then I'll get distracted or pull out of it.
Just say, I want to say, why is it so difficult for man? Woman get it like, because for men it's so difficult to get it. Just think it positive. That, like, however you perceive things is your karma. Whatever they do is their karma.
Yeah, I don't see like that at all.
That's the thing. If you start to look at it different right away,
Maybe you can take one more close.
just okay. If you don't see, just start practicing it without like asking questions. Just start
But you
practicing.
see, unless I believe something, I can't practice it.
But you wanna change. You wanna benefit something like that. Just start doing it. You'll see the change will come by itself.
Yeah, that's stubborn.
Because you're not patient. Yeah, you just want it right away.
Yeah, that's good.
Like one step another way. With women, it's different. Like
easier than that.
small steps.
See, you can check.
It takes longer, but correct, with the right explanation. With men, they just want a big step, and rather, no, it's not gonna work like that.
You stay
Yeah.
Shh, don't talk. It's important here.
Oh, we're doing something.
Yeah, we're doing something important. So what's now?
thinking about what you said.
I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the observation part. I mean, if you've gone through the whole experience of range of feelings that was brought by just assuming that you could let go right now and observe. You saw immediately resistance, you saw frustration, you saw like all the palette of the colors of feelings in this moment. Just for wanting nothing to do and just observe. So in this moment, you've been through that. Okay. Do you feel that there is something more to gain, that you should secure this observation, or
Maybe it's an expectation. I have this expectation that when I'll get it or whatever it is, that I will stop feeling this anger and frustration. If I have a base anger and frustration that is just always being there, I don't know, ever since I was like really.
very good. So now there's an expectation that this will go away. Could you, again, a similar question to the first one, could you allow that maybe, even if you get enlightened, even if you get to know fully the truth, that will stay? Could you live with that if that stays?
They would just feel like, what's the point?
That's fine. But would you allow that type of opportunity, possibility that if even if that means if awakening really means living with that for the rest of my life, do you want it?
Honestly, I'm less enthused with that.
Uh-huh. Yes. because you want it not to be there. So could it be that your desire to have something not there is preventing for you to observe that awakening is already there? Because perhaps if you do not pay much attention to that desire, do not have it there, an expectation for awakening that as soon as I awaken, it's not going to be there anymore. If you did not pay that much attention to that, and much more to observation of this expectation, perhaps it will remove itself.
I feel that life has been quite unpleasant as a result of these things, and I want that to change. So you're saying, well, just let it exist anyways. But then if it were to just exist anyways, then it feels like then it's like there's no hope.
Very good. But you're observing all of that, right? Right now. You're observing all of that.
What's the thing?
Yes, because it's important right now. You're going through many facets of the mind, which keeps bringing you emotions and feelings, and it feels that there's no hope if that would be true. I'm not saying that this is true. I'm saying, would you want that not wanting to just be there? Could you just allow it to be there? Because maybe it is exactly what is keeping you. Maybe this is how mind managed to keep your attention into that instead of really allowing the observation. Because I'm telling you, if you allow this, say, okay, if I, by all means, awakened, will have to still experience that, that's okay. I'm good with that. I want to just awaken. So if you come into that way, I'm telling you that's not gonna be there. But the expectation now is taking more of your attention and more of your care for that expectation to keep, rather than to want to awaken, because you much more wanted that to not be there than awakening. But truthfully, if you say yes to awakening, because now this is the precious moment. Right now you're observing. Right now you're being reminded that these kind of feelings come, this kind of expectation come, and right now, if you let go of this expectation just for a moment, perhaps you'll experience your life without expectation. You can maybe experience it again, who knows? But just this moment, even if enlightenment is to live with that, say yes to it. It's okay. Because right now, I'm observing everything. And if it comes, I'll observe that also. Because right now, it's not there. Is the anger and the frustration, is it there right now?
Yeah.
It is. And how is it experienced? As your frustration, or is observed as anger and frustration is there?
It feels more fun.
And the me itself is observed as well, right? Who owns that feeling?
I'm finding it hard to create that distance between.
No, don't create. No need to create.
Observation.
Yeah, no need to create. Just observe the me, and that's it. And say in your own experience, is that me observed, or you're totally me that you don't see it?
It's like a yo-yo. I observe it, then I go out of observation and I believe it, then I go back into observation. So I'm going.
But in this very moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, just this moment alone. Are you observing it, or you're there?
Okay, I'm observing.
Okay. So are you that me who feels that, or you're observing that me who feels?
There have been moments when I'm not there in this moment, but I have experienced a few moments when I am just observing and I'm able to put that sort of separation or experience the separation. Then whatever frustration, anger, whatever, it's like, oh, it's not me. And so then it's no big deal because it's not me, it's somebody else. I feel passionate towards the me that's experiencing it, but it's not me. So I've experienced that a little, if that's what you're trying to get.
But right now, it doesn't have to be the same experience, because right now it's a different moment. Right now, you still used to say you're observing it, right?
So right now I'm experiencing anxiety and pressure to get to that.
But you're observing it, so it's just that's very sense, must mean there is some sense. But you're observing it.
But right now, for some reason, either because I'm feeling tense or anxious or whatever, I'm less able to create the distance.
No, you don't try to create
the
it.
experience.
So that's fine. That's not the experience that we're looking for. The only experience that we're looking for to just simple, clear, pure observation. That now there's frustration and or tension or whatever it is towards this, but that's being observed.
Okay.
This is it. There's no much more to it because that itself is being observed, meaning it's not you who feels that. There's a sense of me who feels that, and there's a sense of another me who wants to have a distance feeling that. So you see, two me's immediately there. Now the third me, maybe they're also trying to say, but that this whole thing just creates too much trouble. I don't even want to be here. Maybe that's one. And then there's observation of all of those going on instantaneously, effortlessly, without you doing anything. Because in this moment, for you to be able to express and articulate all of these things, you have to already observe it. So it's already before, in your experience, a detachment from the experience. Because first you observe the experience, and then you articulate it as your experience.
Yeah, but you're right. First one has to actually observe.
So initially, you're free from the frustration, because you're only observing it. Initially, you're free from the expectation, because you're only observing it. Observation itself has no expectation, no frustration. It's only there to observe what is there. It observes the expectation, it observes the frustration, and especially when I pose the question that could you live with that if it were to be so?
Okay, so that's just it. What if, is it possible that observation itself is wanting to observe something good?
Yeah, because otherwise it doesn't know itself. It wants observation, wants to observe identification to know itself in such form. Observation wants to observe. It doesn't necessarily want to, but it enjoys to observe itself in this whole manifest world. It enjoys
What
to.
if it doesn't? What if it doesn't enjoy what it's observing?
That's then not the observation. That's the self in the observation which doesn't enjoy. Observation has no feelings for what it observes. It may be your life being cut off.
Observation itself has no feelings, but it observes you.
Yes. Your leg may be cut off, or you can be given flowers and chocolates. And same thing. It's just observing. The experience for the me, for the identification may be different, but the observation is the same. You may feel pain, you may feel pleasure. No preference for the observation. You're just observing whatever it is. Now, preference arises for the small me who wants not to feel mad and frustrated in certain situations. That one is which has preference. Observation observes that preference, and identification to act out on that preference or to try to reduce that kind of action or something. It observes all that goes on there. There's attention that is being paid into that part more over the just simple observation. But in this moment, I'm again pulling your attention into this just simple observation and saying that that part doesn't really matter as much if you stay with this alone.
Like watching a movie.
Yes. You don't really feel much about characters in the movie. You may feel for some time, but you know that it's, even if Casey was killed in the scene, or Mary was raped in the scene, you don't feel for it that same way. Even if you were to, for example, we feel very bad in our family situations, right? Because it's very much me. This whole family made me to be like we can put in such words. But if you were come to any other family, or even to your own family, if it wasn't your family, if you were to come and just observe all of it, you wouldn't feel the same way as you feel it for now. You're just observing this whole circus, this whole movie going on. And there's you can make the whole TV show of one family. They'll have enough to entertain the whole world. And how many families is there in the world? You have so much entertainment, so much to watch, but we don't have to feel for what we're watching because that one is also watched. So it's so effortless that you cannot do anything about it. That's what I'm saying. Why not to give up now and stop trying to do anything? Because that effort to get to that, effort to maintain or achieve that is observed. But in this moment, you can observe that. Like this, we're pretty much done. If you come to observations such, it's hard to get more out of this than that. And throughout this whole time, I've been saying all this.
I hear the words. It feels very strange to try and here just observe the idea of letting go of the identification and being okay with, I don't know, being frustrated. It's okay. If I go, just observe it. In fact, even the phrase just observe it all of a sudden sounds like that requires action.
Requires a choice.
But if observation is already occurring, then even the statement observe seems superfluous.
Yeah, it's very good. That's why I don't give up practice for observation. I may sometimes say, oh, if you want to get out of your mind, if you feel that you're there, you can tap your fingers and say, I am, I am, I am, whatever. You can do something, but do not make practice of observation. It's there, it's natural. You can sit in meditation and observe the observation. But otherwise, you cannot keep trying to observe because, as you say, I want to observe more. That's why I say, don't try to observe anymore.
But then that means there's only observation, and what about self-control, what about responsibility, about uh, my part in
Who's our cares about that?
just observe that too.
Yeah, then observe that also. That self-care, that self.
See, I find that very hard perspective that my father has talked to me about these things from relatively young age. And I've been very upset and angry with him because his whole idea of living life is very passive. It's very, you don't have any control of anything. Like I've heard these phrases many times. But his inaction led to a lot of frustration in our lives as a family. So therefore, I have this like obscene amount of resistance.
I see, I see. Oh, that's good that you actually bring it up right now because I can observe that this is what is causing you to resist so much to just observe because there's a belief if you do that, the similar path of what happened to your dad may happen. No, this is a bit different thing because now you're observing with consciousness and an awakened mind. You're not observing, you don't know how your dad is observing. He may have read something about it, he may have created beliefs about this, and that's it. He shared this with
He's a
you.
very spiritual person in the sense that for him, his entire life is about religion, about sort of delving into God, into putting everything, every faith into God. Every action, every breath, every thought, every morsel of food he eats, everything for him is just God. And I've become extremely, I don't know, angry even about that. Because I'm like, I have a lot of superlative, phrases I could use to describe all that, which are not very pleasant. And so, yeah, there's this innate deep anger, frustration, resistance. But despite all of that, I do think that there's some truth to what he says.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And so therefore, it's strange because, like, in a sense, I want to get to, or what you're describing sounds a lot like what he has achieved, but I loathe him, for many, many, many things about the way his character is. And he practices his character in that way. So there's this like massive, it's like a clash, it's a massive clash for me to say, okay, well, I have no control. And it just is whatever it is. I mean, we've all heard these phrases all the time. They're such cliches. And to just be like, okay, well, then if you're going to be just the way that you are, then that's fine too. And nothing about it feels like it's fine. When I step out of this door and I step into society, the way that society responds or reacts, none of it is fine. It doesn't feel fine. It feels awkward, unpleasant.
But that is observed as well. That feeling that all that isn't fine. Well, it's not like you start saying, "Oh, it's so beautiful how people kill each other in the streets." So no, you still have the same seeing and perhaps more clear seeing that it's all because of this identification with the thoughts, with the stories. That's why they're like that. It's not fine. No, it's not. But this is how it is. So you observe. Well, this is how it is. Maybe you'll be able to do something to shift that story from your own being. It will happen. But now, right now, you don't have to do anything about it. You just have to do nothing and observe. That's all about your part. Later on, your life shifts by itself. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to get rid of what used to be. You don't have to stop being angry. All it starts dropping by itself because you only observe. You don't try to observe, but you only observe that naturally. You only observe. That's the only natural quality of your being, observation. And the more observation is honored, the less the mind, the whole life starts shifting. Because in observation, you see that the mind is identified with this or that story. It creates this or this pain, or this frustration, or this madness. In this observation, they seen for what they are. They recognize, they realize, they start dropping because it seemed to be ridiculous. They cannot live for too long. You may be angry for half an hour. Next time you find yourself angry for 15 minutes. And through that 15 minutes, you already know after first 5 that you're angry. But for the next 10 minutes, you just let yourself to be angry because you're observing that.
Is it helpful to recognize that with wanting, like from a mind perspective, that you're just wanting for something to be different because of the discomfort and pain?
Yeah, it's if you recognize that just wanting to have something different than it is the cause for all.
Suffering.
Yeah. So in this moment, really, we all gathered here to honor the observation, to give attention to the most natural, most effortless sense of your being, which is just observing. And literally, there's nothing more than that. People don't believe that it's only this and believe that there has to be more.
It is just really a illusion to think that one actually has control to change things.
Yes.
It's a little bit like you said that if you're trying to fix the computer with no knowledge of it.
Mm. So if you want to play the illusion anymore, you're welcome. If you want to stay here in this observation, you have no choice to play. But you have a choice to play into illusion. You have no choice to be who you are, as you are purely always that. But you have a choice to play in the illusion. So now, do you want to fix the laptop or do you just want to be yourself and do nothing about it?
It feels strange to just really open up to this whole idea that you want to be angry or feel angry, frustrated, and just be so.
So nobody allows you to be. everybody says you shouldn't be angry. Look at yourself. You're acting like this. It's not like a spiritual person should have, right? But right now, if I tell you, you want to be angry, be angry. You want to be sad, be sad. Experience all that comes, just the way it is. But the difference is you're observing it. And there's a slight difference in the same experience. And the same experience will be experienced in the huge difference. Just because of the small difference. And people do not want to accept this small thing that I'm offering. Well, of course, why would you want such a small thing? There's so much more bigger, grander experiences to obtain than only this. What do you get out of this?
I'm experiencing something right now, even as we're saying, this, which is really important. And I think that these insights or experiences or the ability to do what you're referring to a certain extent, it is a blessing. Just like how we don't control a thought that arises. We have a few years to figure out. Can you tell me what thought is going to come next into your mind? It just appears and then you know. The same thing with the emotion. Like I don't control what emotion reaction. So if I don't control these things will just appear. And this tool of observation becomes a really beautiful tool to, I don't know, take that stress off. Okay, so if I'm angry, I'm frustrated, da 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 da. So be it kind of thing. When you're observing, but that ability to disconnect from the illusion and then to do so experientially as opposed to just theoretically, that is also something I feel that is not uh, in my control. I can be aware of it, and we can discuss it, we can shed light on it from every angle possible. I do believe that the more I shed light on it, perhaps the intention grows for that to manifest, for that experience to manifest. And then in certain moments, uh, it just happens, or like there is an openness or relaxation. I'm feeling it right now. It's just a few moments earlier I could feel the intense anger when I was talking about my father. And just right now, it's very different. But that I feel it's not so much in our control. So when you say that, you know what, I'm offering that to people, and it's such a small thing, but they don't want to. I think perhaps people do want it, but I don't know how they can take it. It's not something that they can take.
Yes, that's true also. It's good that you pointed this out. I was lying. Sorry, you cut me. That's true. Nobody can really take it. Only those who are ready can appreciate this.
But even like how do you define it? Okay, I'm ready. Even if you are ready, it feels like as though it's not something that you can uh, consciously say, okay, I'm going to do it now, and so then therefore.
No, no,
Like you said.
no. What I mean by ready, I mean that you find yourself there. Yeah, like yeah. It's not like I'm ready to do it. It's just about it. If you're like that, no, you're just gonna build more effort to something. But it's just the readiness means you come here and like, oh, that's it. It's like recognize, oh, this is. Oh.
Well, also that observation too, because obviously so much things get seen, like how am I not things about like seeing the wanting is causing that gets seen clearly, then it stops pushing on a whole different dimension. Because it's just seen. I can just see it. So things can change.
In your surprise, you'll see that if now you don't invest any more attention into manifesting the ability to distance yourself, to change, and you just rest in this space of your being, effortless that you're now, in your surprise, you'll see that this naturally expands and your ability naturally increases just because you decided not to invest more ideas and attention to that, but just be now. Because now you're offering power to yourself completely, not partially, completely. Your full attention is in the presence and the being of who you are, not partially into that. Oh, I should still make that ability to be there, so I can distance. There's no distance needed right now. Right now, there's no distance between anything because in this moment, there's nothing.
Just space.
And if you can draw a distance from space to space.
15 years.
I have to get going because I have to pick up my sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you need the internet?
Yeah, I just want to check.
Of course, you can come and show your face there also.
But if you record, go ahead.
No, I mean, oops.
Well, either which way, I should probably get going.
See, we're gonna. Okay, let's just shut it off because you have to go. She has to go. Probably you have to go. So let's do it. Okay, it was fun. Great.